I'm happy to welcome you at the second plenary session of ICTERI 2018. And it's my enormous pleasure to introduce our next distinguished keynote speaker, who is Professor Rajendra A.Horoняk. He's the Professor of Information Technology at Western Norway Research Institute, working on big data and social analytics. He's also the founder of different scientific bodies like Techno-Mathematics Research Foundation. He's the author of 12 books and 6 textbooks. He's also a teaching professor. And he's the editor of more than 22 edited collections. He's also working actively in different research projects, nationally and internationally. I mean, in Norway, in Europe, with industry all over the world, traveling a lot, having a very tight schedule. So, I'm sorry for stealing this 10 minutes from you. Has 26 years of experience in knowledge representation and reasoning, data science, intelligent systems, requirements engineering, and his research hobby are the application of big data methods to real-world challenges, social media analytics in a wide set of semantic dimensions and contexts. So Rajendra will talk on unlocking value from ubiquitous data, and I'm really happy to give him the floor right now. Thank you very much for coming.
Well, very good morning to all of you. At the outset, let me thank the conference organizers and the program committee chairs for inviting me to this wonderful place. Okay. Sorry, just a minute. So, title of my talk is Unlocking Value from Ubiquitous Data. And the photo is a place where I live. This is a small town in Western Norway with 7,000 inhabitants. Very small data. But we have collaborations with different universities and different research organizations. We are collaborating with more than 80 different institutions, universities, and industry, both public and private sector in Norway and abroad. So today, I'm going to give you some overview of our research activities, the current research activities, and then you will know why we are excited about these things, and we'll discuss some of the big data applications in mobility and emergency management, and present some challenges, some open research problems, so that you can also contribute to this field in future. So let us start with this nice Gilbert cartoon. I hope some of you have seen this. This is about big data knows everything. So big data is now everywhere. All companies, or most of the companies, are knowing all about you. Only if you are off the grid, then you are safe. Otherwise, the companies know all about your activities, about you, maybe personal things, and they make use of this to give some interesting applications, interesting use, interesting services to the people. By the way, how many are familiar with the big data? Okay. Good. Okay. It's not bad. At least some of you know what is big data, because it is still developing field. And big data, there are. I can tell you one example. Some years back, I think 2013 or 14, the University of Berkeley organized a conference because there was a debate just after the inception of this field. There was a debate about the definition. What is big data? How to define big data? So what they did, the Berkeley Computer Science Department invited 40 different researchers from 40 different companies, from food industry, then aeronautical industry, the other retail sector, and so on. And they posed a problem that defined big data. What is your own definition of big data? These 40 experts came up with 40 different definitions. If you want to see this definition, these definitions are still available on, if you go to berkeley.edu, you will find an article on this. It's still there on their website. And all 40 different definitions are still there. And you will see the different views, different point of views of the big data, or understanding of this domain by different people. This is another this is about the future. So with the help of big data, even your refrigerator can remind you about your purchase list, what you are supposed to purchase in the evening while going home. So this is the future, and this was a reality once upon a time when companies, many organizations, many industries, you can say, were trying to establish a research group or research consortium consisting of different experts from different fields. But in the university setup or academic setup, this was completely unknown thing, completely see what the reply you get after collecting all these experts from various different fields. If you collect all these experts in a room and ask them to brainstorm on something, some real world problem, then you will end up with an unholy mess. Some blah blah, and finally you invest some money and time, but no solution. But this is not the case now. Now, when you work with the data science, when you work with the big data, you have to have a group of researchers or policymakers, public sector, private sector organizations, representative of these organizations, biologists, medical professionals, etc., etc. So this is changing, and this is somewhat like a glue to that data science is a glue which brings and fixes all different domains together. This is my small team in this small village called Songal. These are all my permanent staff, and we are from 5 different countries, and there is only one Norwegian. And we have some students. They are not in this picture. They are currently registered for their masters and PhDs in different universities. So at this institute we have we are doing various different dealing with different topics in order to build better cities and better neighborhoods, smart neighborhoods. One of the project was is developing a smart neighborhood or smart village in our region. So we have 7 different municipalities, regional governments. With their cooperation, we are developing some smart applications for these smart villages, especially in the field of energy. And one reason for this is now we should just stop speaking about data poor. Once upon a time we were data poor, so always we used to think about the data in the or words in the document. Now we are not supposed to think of data in the document because we are not data poor. We have a lot of data. We are data rich, so we should try to find something more, dig down something more from the available data. So our focus is on big data, since big data is changing slowly and to getting more and more ubiquitous. So ubiquitous data and applications of that in the emergency management or crisis management, and also smart mobility or urban mobility. So we started with this. This was one of our European Commission funded project. It was about the emergency management in social media generation, where we try to bring the 2 communities, that is people, citizens, and the public sectors, that is authorities, who are responsible for providing emergency services to the citizens, to the people. And actually there was, even still, even after there are, now there are many such systems and many such projects completed during the last few years, but there are still problems with this this kind of how to be. That's one. Anyway, you can see this. Here there is a situation, even it is somewhat same today, that there is a less connectivity, or the citizens and authorities are weakly connected. They are not interacting always, even during the emergencies. So our aim was to bring them together, help each other, and solve the emergencies. For that, we developed a system called Emergent, which is now implemented or in use in some countries. In Germany, for example, Darmstadt, and in Belgium, there is another emergency services at it's a national level emergency services. There they are using this system. We have also implemented this system in Bergen, a city in Norway, and they are also using this for emergency. And we got some very good results of this research. So I'll come to this after some time. We have another project which is somewhat extended version of what we did here in the Emergent project. Emergent was a European project. This is a Norwegian project funded by Norwegian Research Council, and but it is international, even bigger than the European project, where we have international partners from US, Japan, and Hong Kong. And we are doing two things. This is not just a research project, but we are developing a course curriculum on big data in emergency management. And this course curriculum will be, the first course is starting from this autumn in University of Bergen, and the course will be then again implemented in George Mason University, one of our partner from next year, and so on. So we are developing different case studies because we have experts from various different domains. Our expertise in sensor data and social media data. We have experts from various different other fields also. Some are working in the human mobility. Some are working in some other domain. So we are developing different case studies and using these case studies for the developing large-scale platform as well as the course curriculum. Then this is a project again, the Norwegian project, ongoing project with the Norwegian Research Council, where we are developing this intelligent green sustainable urban mobility. This is a platform with pilots in 3 major cities in Norway, Bergen, Oslo, and Trondheim. This is one more project. Recently we got a project on this from the Norwegian Research Council. It is measured with huge funding. We got about 46 million Norwegian kroner for this project. And bringing the regional companies, regional organizations, academic sector and industry together and develop the region. This is the last project, which is on big data in transport sector. This project is a unique project in the sense that the outcome of this project will be used by the European Commission for developing a new research program in big data in transport. So that is the major objective of this, and also this will be used to develop a legal framework for entire Europe for transport mobility. In this project, this project was started in November, where we are developing the roadmaps, 2 roadmaps, the research and policy roadmap, where we involve various different transport actors, and finally we should disseminate the outcome of this and our recommendation roadmap to the policy maker, decision makers throughout the world. In this, we are considering the entire transport domain, not just one sector or one mode, but entire transport from all 5 modes of transport: air transport, railway transport, road transport, urban transport, etc., multimodal transport also. And we are doing 7 case studies, very deep case studies in 7 different areas, from the intelligent transport to even open data in transport, and then suggesting various different research opportunities, research problems, and policy issues. So currently, we are in this LEMO project. We are in the initial phase where we are investigating different economic, legal, social, ethical, and political issues. There are so many different issues because since we are dealing with data, we have to investigate first all these things, because different country has different rules, different the framework, legal framework, different social framework. Now there is a GDPR. So thinking of all this, and we will complete this the first phase in the next 2 months, and then we'll start our case study based on this work. The first report based on this initial study about the methodologies and some technologies in big data is already published last week. Why we are interested in all this domain in a very small place like Somdala? So there is some motivation for that. The first thing, I think some of you know this guy. He is the first person to present about the humans and machines, how humans and machines can cooperate with each other. This was his initial paper on this man-computer symbiosis, was published in 1960. So this is a guy, computer scientist, gave the first idea, first vision, which is related to what we are doing now. The second wave was human utilizing machine. This is ambient intelligence. So increasing the capability of human to approach complex problems, especially complex problem situations. Why this complex problem situation I will discuss after some time, because situation is very important for my research, and to understand and to gain the complete comprehensive idea to understand the person's particular needs and to derive different solutions to that problem. So this was the second wave. The third wave is ubiquitous computing. This was beginning of, I think, 21st century, or just end of 20th century. So making machines disappear, and they get entered into our life. So we, machine and people, can work together. And this is one of the earliest waves, artificial intelligence by John McCarthy. It is a proposal presented at Dortmund conference in 1958, where he mentioned that computation may someday be organized as a public utility, and that is what is happening now. So these are all 4 machine-centric computer science, computing. Now we are interested in not machine-centric, but we are interested in citizenship. And in this citizen-centric research, we are focusing. we are interested in the sustainability issues and so I must do it all the time.
I said it's more than.
Oh yeah, okay. Sorry, it's okay. And we are currently, yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm not used to this, you know that. I can shout without. Anyway, we are interested in this mobility management, transport, and the different issues in healthcare. Currently, we don't have any project in healthcare. We have some background and some this research. And this is important because it is the problem of global significance. There are better solutions. We can even provide more advanced and more enhanced solutions. Then we can solve these problems using large workforce, bringing communities together. And there is big data, noisy data available, so there is a lot for doing research. And we can, the one important thing you will see in this picture, that we are always working with. And we are. Is it okay?
Yeah, this one's perfect.
So we have both information flows from the citizen to authorities and from authorities to citizens. So with all our problems or projects or research, we use both the information flows. So, since we are in the real world, the problems are complex, very complex. So we try to develop different algorithms, different methods, different approaches, bringing down this the real world problem, the simplified representations of these problems, and then after developing solution, we use this solution from these algorithms, from our techniques, that will be then changed into or implemented in the real world. So, since I'm going to talk about social media, sensor data, and its use in the transport sector, I think all of you know that this is the current scenario. This is the next thing, that is 70% of smartphones will be used throughout the world in 2020. It's changing very fast. And then when you now think about the computing, then it is as an application or semantic layer for all Internet of everything infrastructure. So this is from fixed computing to we are heading towards Internet of everything. So in this respect, there are 4 consideration important issues about data. One is data volume. It is increasing day by day. Then data timeliness, because they release the data having very fast real-time data. So we have to analyze this data and make use of this data in real time. If it is not used, then it is garbage. So we need to use this. So very new techniques are used, and also researchers are developing the new concepts like edge computing is now, edge analytics is a new thing in the field. Then data quality is also a major issue, because you have data, especially when you deal with the social media data, we have to think of data quality, trustworthiness of the data, which is a huge big field of research. There is a lot of scope for quality research on quality data or data quality. And this data pedigree. This is also important, but this is, data pedigree is not very important when you are dealing with the internal systems. But when you are analyzing data, using the data from social media, from public, then this data pedigree is important, and we have to look at this. You must have seen this at various places, various presentations. Elephant, we can use this analogy in various different fields. The same with the big data. As I told you, there are different definitions of big data, different understanding, different interpretations of the field. So we have now different types of data, but perspective is very limited. We are just thinking of, for my research, for my work, for my company, I just think very limited perspective on this. And that's why this is elephant and blinds. This was one of the results of my previous project, where we analyzed the different data from 7 different sectors. So we have oil and gas. So we analyzed this oil and gas from, especially from the Norway, from Statoil, and from Statoil, yes. And then healthcare, then environment, crisis informatics, crisis data analyzed by our partners in UK, then smart cities data, and transport data and cultural data. So if you look at this map, you will see that there is a different volume of data and velocity of data, variety of data available, and it's different in different sectors. This thing is not changed yet. Even in terms of the skills, it's the same. This was 2 years, I think this was in 2015. But it's not much different now. There is some investment, IT investment in this sector, but still there are no more better algorithms, machine learning techniques for large scale problems, and business models. There are some new business models coming up in the transport sector. I will show you some new business models at the end of this talk. And but still there is a scope for improving this. This is also somewhat known thing, that we have data, then use data to gain information, use that information to gain knowledge, use that knowledge to gain wisdom, and but if you come from wisdom to data, that's not possible. It is not, the wisdom is not always the knowledge. Knowledge is not the information all the time, and information is not data. You will see this in this picture. Therefore, this Clifford Stoll said once The data is not information, information is not knowledge, knowledge is not understanding, and understanding is not wisdom. Yeah, so, but we need these three end products of data, raw data. So what is missing now in this? There are many things missing in this big data focused solutions. There is an innovation. A lot of innovation is happening. You must have seen many projects many in the industry and in public sector, private sector, but the reaction is somewhat missing. Then there are right answers, but often are just not sufficient, because when you think in terms of, since it is citizen-centric, the citizen-centric approach is missing in this research. So this is mostly machine-centric. So we need to bring citizen-centric approach, because we humans are used to using various different clues, different reasoning, which is missing here, and that is the mirror power. So the same thing in different. So we need data plus knowledge plus reasoning. Then only we can really succeed and we can give better solutions. So we are dealing with these different challenges in Norway. Some of these pictures from Oslo. So one problem in the mobility is traffic congestion. Another problem is about energy, environment, pollution, aging population, how to provide special and smart solutions for old people, how to monitor their activities. We are using some tool for this aging population, for people who are old people staying at home. Nobody is there to take care of them. But we are using some smart systems in the hospital which are monitoring their activity. And if they have not taken the medicine in proper time, then bell rings. Or if there is no response, there is someone from the hospital goes to the person, to the home, and help them to take medicine or any other help in their day-to-day life. So in disaster, we have this disaster cycle. Disaster prevention, try not to happen any, or try to avoid this kind of events, emergency events. Then prepare for these events. Response, if there are unfortunate incidents, then respond to that events using big data. And after the event, after the disaster, use for the recovery. Using data for the recovery. The fundamental problem here is connecting people and resources. That is the very fundamental problem. How to connect people and different resources very effectively, very efficiently, and in any given situation. So here comes the situation. So mainstay here to then determine different needs in the situation, then determine different resources, what are the different resources, what are the needs, what are the requirements and what are the demands, how to provide help to affected population, and develop best resource management. Based resource management approach, and then communicate and activate decisions, and again go to the step 1. So these are the main steps here. And in social media usage, during any emergency incidents, there are these 3 things happening all the time. That is interpersonal, this is horizontal dialogue. The people stay in touch with each other. If your mobile network is working, 2 years back, I faced the same situation. There was a kind of hurricane in our region, just a day before the Christmas, 24th December. And my family is in other city, they are in Bergen, I'm in Songdal. And due to hurricane, the road was damaged. And all of a sudden, mobile network was off. And there was no chance to communicate with my family. Everything for more than 24 hours, there was no electricity. I feel as if I'm in India at that time. Because no electricity, no internet, no mobile, nothing.
What about curry?
No curry.
No curry?
Yeah, because there was no curry also, difficult to cook. Because the electric cooking range was not good, because there was no electricity, so can't cook. So but if you have good mobile network, then in that case, you can keep in touch with your family, friends. Then you can use the bottom-up approach that citizen sensing, read-write reports on ground situation. Some people spontaneously posting some things which are useful for the emergency services. So you can just collect this, gather this from social media, and use this for solving the emergency situation. And other official communications within the emergency services, different authorities, police, the firefighters, and other volunteers, they are communicating with each other, sending some alerts, warnings, and some evacuation orders, posting something on their blogs, on their Facebook pages, or all such things. So this is social media data in emergency situation. And these emergency systems are providing these social observations, and you can use these social observations with some little latency. We have now emergency systems, just as our emergent system, where the systems are giving response, giving feedback to people and to the emergency services. It is possible to recognize a situation to some extent and provide demand and supply. If you are using just one-to-one, that is some kind of, there are many tools, social media tools used for this kind of emergency management, directly helping people during the emergencies, and provide some demand and supply, help to the volunteers and authorities. But still there are many problems in this. So we are suggesting this kind of smart system where we are collecting data from various sources, social media, other environmental devices, meteorological data from weather stations, etc. different database systems from which are available in the offices, the government offices, the especially in Norway we have all such data in the county municipalities and in the police offices. So we are using that and data coming from the satellite, and then try to recognize the situation, model that situation, which is very hard problem, and we are still working on this. And then not only the current situation, but we have to think of the evolving situations. How something will happen in maybe in the next 10 minutes. What will happen in maybe in half an hour, or even the next day, and how to deal with that situation. So these things, and identifying different needs based on the available resources, and then communicate this to the different command and control departments of these authorities, provide them instant suggestions, instant reports, generate some reports, and then they can take action based on these suggestions by the smart system architecture. So this concept recognition in the situation, concept recognition is one major problem. When you have single source data, that is just a photo of any emergency incident, any disaster, or video, just one video, then it is easy to understand the concept behind that, because you can understand using that image. But there is a limitation. Though you are understanding that, you are understanding only based on that particular image. You are not understanding the real world. So it is of no use. For small project, this is okay. For our master thesis, this is okay. But when you are dealing with the real world, this is of no use. So you need a situation, you need to understand, you need to analyze data coming from various different sources, various different mediums. And then you can at least understand a real world, or you can say you can try to understand real world using various different data. Still, many things are missing in that. When you aggregate that, and when you even fuse the data, there are many limitations. There is also an open research area in the data fusion and data aggregation, where also in data aggregation you can think of privacy, data privacy, and all these things. So we faced this situation. You will see this in photo 2014. We had a heavy flood, and that hurricane also in the same time. But this was in, I think, in October, and the hurricane was in December. And many small villages and towns were affected by this thing. So what is this situation? So we are trying to understand the situation. So actually, trying to get value out of ubiquitous data is the first step for this is understanding situation. So what is the situation? We can divide that into these some four things. It should be actionable, abstract, spatio-temporal, the space-time. So there are different characteristics here. And then these are some definitions. You can say the first three bullet points are definitions, three definitions. The definition, the third one is a situation is a finite sequence of action, is given by John McCarthy, who coined the term artificial intelligence. So There are again different definitions of this term, and so these are the different situations. So what is the difference between situation and event? Situation and event, I can go to the, yeah, we can define this situation awareness like this. But situation and event is somewhat like, if I know somebody is screaming for help in a building, then that is an event for me. But when I hear that some 100 people are suffering, they are screaming for help, they are in the building, there is a fire, and where it is somewhere in the downtown, then that is the situation. And understanding this situation from various different data, various images, videos coming out from the YouTube or posted via Twitter or some other Flickr or some other social media. We are dealing with only 3. This is not no Facebook and other things, because there are many privacy issues and we are not tackling that. So there is another example also. So in this situation, how to understand the situation and provide help to. So the various different data types in any situation recognition are a point of interest. Say hospital or other community help centers, etc. Then the people, technical data of emergency center, in our case the municipalities. Then different contact person, crisis organizations, Red Cross, etc. And all information that will support the need of the for personnel, for people, and for infrastructure. And we get different dynamic data from this. So major challenge is data after situation. If you understand the situation, then the next thing is to data ingestion. How to ingest data to effectively extract data and make them available for future computing. This is very non-trivial problem, open research problem. And stream processing engine to bridge the semantic gap between high-level concept of situation and low-level data streams. So combining different data sources coming from different media and processing these streams is another challenge. So we have these 3 levels here. So we are using different data streams, then unified representation of this spatio-temporal representation. Then use some fusion techniques or aggregation. In most of the cases, the aggregation is done, and then it is symbolically represented. So we try to represent the situation symbolically, just to understand the situation, the event. So we did that exercise during this 2014 flooding, because it was difficult to visit different places, different villages. The road was many problems on different roads. The express boat was also stopped working because of this flooding and heavy rain, and no air flights, all flights cancelled. So there was no way to go and see the situation, what is happening. So we use some of the data coming from the meteorological centers, from the social media, and fortunately a lot of people use social media in Norway, and they posted, even old people use the social media, and that's really impressive. It's not the same in different countries, because one of our projects we did that analysis, impact analysis, and we found that people are not that much fond of using social media, and if they are not fond of that, then we have restrictions, we can't do our research. In mobility data, we are dealing with various different data sources. Fortunately, because getting data, making data available from various different data providers is a very, very difficult task when you are working in data science. Because there are many issues, from privacy to anything. So we have data from various different data providers in 3 major cities, in Oslo, Bergen, and Trondheim. And then we are trying different things using mobility, people's movement in the city, that helps to provide or to give suggestions on how to resolve the traffic congestion. Then also to plan different scenarios. We did that exercise last May when there was world cycling competition in Bergen. So the emergency services, the Bergen municipality chief told us that they want to just plan different scenarios if something happens in case of any terrorist attack or anything. Even there are many people, and if there are some critical issues, then so we use data, and constantly we were monitoring and provided different scenarios for all 15 days. Most important thing about this research in smart cities, smart mobility, and even when we think of citizen-centric approach, that means the citizens are in the middle of this vector. They are the most important, and they provide a lot of data which you can use to get more information and get knowledge from that information. So in the traditional city, there are public actors, municipalities, state governments, then different urban communities, the public communities. They are, and businesses and different startups, they are in the center. But here, the end users, that is citizens, are in the center. So the smart mobility, our vision, our objective should be to provide better environment, better services to the people, and also improve the overall operation system, not operating system from computer science, but operation system of city. So these are the 3 win-win-win for the smart mobility solutions. So this is our overall smart urban mobility platform, where we have 4 different layers. The first layer is sensing and data acquisition layer, where we are continuously sensing data, and from the mobile phones, from the traffic lights, from the various different social media, etc., etc. And acquired data is then managed using various data management techniques in the data management layer. Then different learning algorithms are implemented in analytics and in the third layer of data analytics, and then provide different services to the people and to the authorities. So this is overall, this is work in progress, it's not completed. In the sensing and data acquisition, we are constantly probing this, and there are both the sensor-centric sensing as well as the citizen sensing. And in this sensing, we are not just sensing just one citizen sensing, but we have two types of passive crowd sensing and active crowd sensing. For example, here I have a ticketing system. We have ticketing system here. Even in your metro, we have a ticketing system. So we purchase ticket from the ticket machine and then use it. Just swipe it when you enter in the station. In some countries in Norway, we have to swipe that even when we go out. So always this recorded. So when a person is entering and going out of the metro station, and we can use this for understanding the city dynamics. Who is traveling from where? Of course, it is anonymous. We don't want to just probe the individual as such, but we are interested in how many people are moving from particular direction. That is helpful, especially in a country like Norway. Not in all big cities, but for example in Oslo, this is a problem, especially during early morning working hours, because we go to office at 7:30. Traffic jam, congestion problem, even the metro traffic, taxi traffic, getting right, all these problems. So we are trying to provide a solution for that using this both passive and active crowd sensing. And also there are sensing from the fixed sensing. There are fixed sensors, different locations, different places. Also sensors on ambulances, on the police vehicles, and also at taxis they are using. So the GPS and all, so that is also used. And in data management, we use different indexing and retrieval algorithms, developing some algorithms, and that are implemented. But again, there are problems also for indexing. So some methods work for some problems, not for all problems. So it is still research going on. There are two guys doing PhD in this field. Then in data analytics, major aim is to remove the anomalies in the cities, remove or help people to understand if there are any anomalies. For example, if there is a traffic congestion, then using this our data patterns, which we have already saved and which are also ongoing from the analysis, we are able to identify the different locations, identify the anomalies in different places, and even suggest better solutions for that. We use this also for taxi recommendation. This kind of anomalies, you can identify and then suggest people to get a taxi from nearest location. So these are the different characteristics of spatio-temporal static data, then other spatial static and spatio-temporal dynamic data. So there is a dynamic data, dynamic and some static data. So we have these things, data coming from various different services, so different management centers, and we from also telecom center. We are actually fortunate enough to find very good partners from various different sectors. For example, we have one of the largest telephone service provider from Norway. They are a partner in one project, so they are providing all data about people movement. Getting data about such things is very difficult if you don't have good data providers. And here are some issues and some open problems. Knowledge fusion from heterogeneous data is a problem because there are no straightforward techniques you have to have. This is different from the just data fusion, and using different data. You can use any one of these three techniques. One is fusing different data sources at future level. You can just develop a vector, future vector, and use that future vector. You can use the different data at different stages. This is another approach. And the third one is fit different data sets into different parts of the model. Simultaneously, you can do that. That is the last one is the most efficient approach. That's our understanding after doing this kind of study. But you can also use other techniques. You can also mix this second, use different data stages with the first one. So if you combine these two, then also you can get a better solution. But the last one is the best. And then use this platform to bridge a gap between the urban analytics applications, especially dashboards, which we are implemented for the command and control systems. They are not a part of the command and control systems in the emergency services, but they are using this as a standalone. These dashboards are very useful now. Currently, now they are this dashboard you can slightly see that is already implemented in use in Darmstadt firefighter station. So where they are managing most of the emergency activities in that region. And also it is installed in the Bergen municipality. And the idea is to bridge a gap between these two using the cloud technology. Situation modeling, situation recognition earlier, these are major challenges. We have data, various census data, hurricane data, open shelter data, other various sort of different types of data. But how to combine this, that is the major worry. So need to develop techniques. This is a very good research area where you can solve the situation modeling and situation recognition issues. Then another challenge, which is a common challenge in data science, is data sparsity. For example, if we want to find out the probability of finding a vacant taxi on the road, or maybe road segments, different neighborhoods, then without any sufficient data calculation, how is it possible? How can we do this? So this is another challenge. We are trying this with the help of recommender system. So there is this collaborative filtering and tensor approach we are using for this data sparsity. We are getting some promising results from this, which will be published probably in the next 2 months. And I think one paper is coming because we can't publish a lot of things from our research. That's a major problem, because this is work done for the public sector, and there are a lot of restrictions. So we can provide services to them, but we can't publish that much. But we can publish some of these things. So this approach is giving some promising results in sparsity. Then we have other interesting problem. I think those who are working in the data science, dealing with data, having experience this problem also. Most interesting problem, that is how to deal with missing data. Because there is data, there are sensors everywhere in the city. For example, in Oslo, we have sensors in many places, but not everywhere, because if you go to suburb area, there are no sensors. So if you have to deal with that region, that neighborhood, then how? Because there are no sensors. So how can we make use of our data, available data in the main city, in the downtown, for giving solutions to the people staying in the neighborhood during any emergency? So that is another interesting problem. And again, problems with the cloud computing platforms. Mostly have problem with supporting spatio-temporal data. So that is also a problem. Then there are, I'm just listing some other problems with the machine learning. We are not doing much work in this, so I cannot give a very specific advice or present results in this. But there are many problems with the complex learning. There are many feature extraction algorithms, but it is still. And then finding the managing and indexing multimodal data. That is good research direction. Those who are interested in this, it's very good. Even I have a PhD position for this research. We have already advertised this. If somebody is interested, you can apply for that. It's a salaried job. Norway, you usually get, for PhD, you get salary, which is equivalent to a salary of an assistant professor in German university. So that it's a good offer. Another future direction is knowledge fusion. Mixing this some data mining, machine learning models, and dealing with the single data source are there in our day-to-day applications. We are using that, but putting together different connected features extracted from different data sources, say images, videos, text. It is difficult because for text, we know there are some natural language processing methods available. For videos and images, we have computer vision algorithms. But when you combine all these things, then there are very, very limited solutions nowadays available. So this is also another research direction. And visualization, general exploratory visualization and interactive visualization. Especially we are interested in interactive visualization when we deal with the cities, in the smart cities or in the smart mobility. Then that is also very important issue. So here I have an example here. The multiple factors like traffic, emission from cars to CO2 emission, meteorological data, and land-related data, the landscapes, etc., etc. That could influence the air quality of a particular location. And for that, we need to develop a different, or even if you want to suggest some tool or develop a dashboard for recommending gas stations available in the region. Or if you want to suggest a municipality, for example, to improve this gas station providers in their region, for all that you need to have a very good visualization tool. Otherwise, it is not easy to provide this kind of assistance or solutions to the service to the municipalities. But this is slightly different thing where we have focus on transport, because we are more interested in transport, and we want to develop a competence in that area. That is why we are interested in big data analytics, predictive analytics, different mobility services. Then we have also we can use not just for these municipalities and citizens, but also other companies, because we have data coming from the telecom company, Telenor. They are providing solutions. They are interested in our solutions. They are interested in the system. They want to make use of whatever we are developing, whatever data we are analyzing, so they can also make use of this for sales, marketing, operation, other workforces, even in their finance departments and customer, even railway network, Norwegian railway network is interested in some of these things. And these are some business models, new business models, which are coming out of this kind of research. These are not all from our research, but this is work done in one of our reports for this LEMO project, so where we are identifying various different business models. So there are different business models. And this is interdisciplinary research. So there are this famous movie, Good, Bad, Ugly. We have good things. We learn a lot. We learn a lot in last 10 years from working in this domain. And it is applied research, always useful, so that it's useful for the society, for the community. So it's very good. But it's bad because always you have to interact with or find partners who are the formal responsible organization, mostly the public sector. Sometimes it's very difficult to deal with these people. And when you are in data science, you have to deal with always these people and engage them in your research. So we try to invite them for every our project meetings. We organize different workshops for them, encourage them to participate. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But this is very important, that's why I said it is bad. And third thing, ugly, is because In normal project, we do the proof of concept, some kind of advanced. Now we have innovation actions in European projects, Horizon. So there we try to develop something, some advanced proof of concept, which we can immediately launch in the market and earn money. But it is not possible in this research, where you have to provide some working software and some support always to the authorities, to the public sector who are using your solutions. But one good thing, I noticed last 1 or 2 years is that the public sector is also taking a lot of interest in this. They are participating in this research initiative, this kind of research initiatives. I think not only in Norway, but all over Europe. Even I've seen that in India, because we tried to unsuccessful attempt to implement some solutions in India, which will be very useful for Indian traffic and these things, but without success. So we gave up. But that is also because of the response of the organizations. Poor response from the decision makers or policy makers. So this is the ugly part of this. And finally, what is a data scientist? So data scientist is my first slide just after the cover. It was about data scientist. Data science is an interdisciplinary field where you work with different people with different backgrounds, different disciplines, and then bring everybody together and try to develop something which is useful for the society. That means the data scientist is a glue. And this is given by Lee Baker. So this is a glue, and you can, with this glue, it means if you are in a data science, you are glue, and you can fix different disciplines together and give better solutions for the society. So always think within a box. Don't think outside the box. Thank you. See if you have questions.
Thank you very much. I think we still have some time. I'm using your coffee break, sorry for that, but still questions are important.
Sorry for taking
Does anyone have a public question? Because private questions may be taken over to the coffee break. Any public questions? Just to initiate the discussion. Do you remember in Thessaloniki in 2014 at the WIMS conference we called a keynote from Richard Benjamin, speaking about emergency responses and mentioning quite a nice work by Telefonica in Madrid. Telefonica in Madrid. I saw some slides and you mentioned some things that recalled me about his talk. Do you partner? No, not really. But he's an open person. Why not partnering in gluing together different modalities? I think they do something.
Yeah, we are not. Actually, we tried once. We applied for two projects, but
okay. Okay. Telefonica is a big company. Hard to pursue. Yeah, that's right. Any more questions? No, thank you very much indeed.
So,
feel free to come and ask private questions at the coffee break. Rajan is a nice guy. He's open, as all Norwegians.
If you have interest, if you want to see some of our solutions and some results, on-site demos, then you are welcome to Norway. If you visit there, just let me know. We can plan this in advance and we can show you something.
So you will arrange a special power game exactly for this?
Special?
Power game.
I will try my best.
You have floor? No, not to you. To our first speaker. Our first speaker
Just a second. Is Kenya Polishuk, and she will tell us about how machine learning could be used in estimating of SMEs investment potential in Ukraine. Please have your floor.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be here with you and to speak up. Maybe you can.
Yes, thanks.
Louder.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning for all. I'm here to represent the result of our research, and together with my colleague and the co-author, Alla Ivashenko, we are from Kyiv National Economic University, and we are conducting the research in SMEs problems and issues of their financing. Well, as you can see from the title of the presentation and from the title of our article, we tried to apply machine learning methods in estimating of SMEs investment potential in Ukraine. Actually, the main goal of our research was to develop a model of SMEs investment potential assessment using some machine learning methods. And who can use the result of our research? Firstly, the policymakers and public authorities for paying attention to policy direction constraining business development for SMEs. Secondly, foreign investors, while they are getting to invest in Ukrainian SMEs projects and in other projects which are related with SMEs issues. And statistical authorities as well. What is potential in general? Potential in general we can meet in different branches of sciences, and biology, mathematics, physics, as you can see in medicine, and economics as well. A great deal of research are related to economics, and there is a lot of research about its structure, its main elements, and so on. And among them, there is investment potential. And also, when we studied investment potential, a great number of authors deal with a different approach of study for investment potential. So it's resource, market, probabilistic, resultative, capacitive, structural, and cost. Together with my author, we choose the resource approach. So, in other words, for us and in our study, investment potential of SMEs is the resource which can SMEs allocate in different areas. And actually it is the base of the future development of SMEs as main drivers of economic growth. Here on the slide you can see general trend of business development in Ukraine within 2010 and 2016. And you can see that the structure of legal entities in Ukraine, they are represented by 4 categories. First, large, then small, medium, and micro enterprises. If we look into the structure of these legal entities, we can see that large entities are only 1%. 2 or 3% are medium, and 1% is small entities. Other 96% are micro enterprises. But actually, macro enterprises, they don't give such a huge potential like small and medium enterprises. And that's why we decided what factors do the obstacles for this development. Here you can also see on the next slide the general trends of SMEs development, and we can tell that in the turnover of small and micro enterprises consists 65% from all the turnover of legal entities at whole. But actually, these figures is interesting, but we are more interested in our topic, the investment potential, according to the size of enterprises. And we can see that investment potential, as I said, of micro enterprises are very, very small, and much smaller is large enterprises. But usually these large enterprises, they give a very, very wrong statistic, because usually they don't want to use instruments for large enterprises for hiring workers on their works, and that's why they do tax optimization, and this is the reason and the problems. Okay, that investment potential and resources of investment potential is good. Resources, if you have resources, it's also good. But if you don't know where to invest them, to allocate, it doesn't matter whether you have them or no. Actually, on this slide, you can also see the structure of areas for investment according to the size of enterprises. And what we can look in general. In general, we can look that, we can see that medium and small enterprises are, they tend to invest in construction, reconstruction, then machinery, but not in software and so on. When we thought what are the obstacles of this, and we looked into different indexes, for example, doing business, and we decided that some factors which form the environment of business performance for SMEs, they are incorrect, wrong, and they have to be improved. Yes, here you can see the position of doing business in Ukraine from 2006 to 2016. In general, it is positive. But there are some controversials in some indexes, and we'll speak about this a bit later. So, machine learning. Machine learning models for SMEs investment and potential estimated. They provided input data. What data we collected? So we collected two categories of data. First category is investment potential of SMEs in different European countries. And you see Slovenia, Czech Republic, Estonia, Slovakia, Hungary, Latvia, Poland, and Ukraine. And the second one, the indicators of doing business. Actually, you can ask me why we choose these countries, and maybe you can see that here is, for example, Estonia and Czechoslovakia, and Slovakia there is no. Why do we use? Because their investment potential of the SMEs are much higher than, for example, Ukrainian. But actually, the key points of reforms for SMEs, they were the same. And actually, we have to collect the data for investment potential, and there was an issue for this. And that is why we choose also these countries. Well, for indicators, it is clear. And what did we propose? We proposed to use predictive models based on different models. First, linear regression model, then automatic relevance determination regression models. As you can see, these two models, they belong to one family of regression models, but why they are different? So we tried different models for estimating the SMEs investment potential, and we divided small enterprises and medium enterprises, and we have to look whether the factors which are described in the doing business report, whether they have an equal influence or an equal force on forming and on investment potential of these enterprises. When we tried some models, there were not only two. At first, we chose only two because these models give us the most correct predict, and the root square was the minimum for these two models. So the dependent variable, as it is understandable from other research, it is the value of the investment potential of the SMEs. So we studied how investment potential of SMEs is dependent from different factors which are described in the Doing Business report. Independent variables were sub-indexes of Doing Business index. For example, you can see here starting business, dealing with construction permits, registering property, getting credits, protecting minority investors, paying taxes, trading across borders, enforcing contracts, and resolving insolvency. Well, first we collected data, then we trained them, and then we tested them. Actually, if we took only, for example, sub-data of doing, sub-indexes of doing business, and then some figures of investment potential, we couldn't we couldn't define whether factors of doing business are really effect on the SMEs. But actually, doing business is a general picture of investment climate, of business environment of the country. And we tried to take only that indexes that they really have an influence on SMEs' performance. These machine learning methods helped us to do this quickly and to optimize our process. So it is the main reasons why we used this machine learning method. But what is the peculiarity of our method? First of all, these models can give us not only the predictive meaning, and this is not very important in our research, in the result of our research. The most important, what factors have destructive force and what factors have positive influence. For both medium and small businesses, we defined it as starting businesses protecting minority investors, paying taxes and enforcing contracts. They have very positive influence because the coefficients have a positive sign in that model. Then, for both, we should say that there are some factors which reduce the investment potential, and among them are resolving insolvency and getting credit. So, why I told you before my speech that, before the presentation of my research, that the policymakers have to pay attention on this approach, on our approach, because, for example, our model and our approach will give them the possibility, for example, to draw their attention on resolving insolvency and getting credit. So there are forces on these problems, how to use them, maybe to design some laws or to make more softer obstacles and so on. Here you can see the demonstration of our two models. Yes, here is the automatic relevance determination for small enterprises, and here you can see this equal. And the next one is classical linear regression for medium-sized enterprises. So to sum up, machine learning methods give us a really great opportunity to define what the factors were destructive and what the factors were positive on forming investment potential of SMEs in Ukraine. So thank you very much. I'm very happy to hear from you some questions.
Okay, thank you very much.
Are there any questions to this report? Okay, just to, yeah.
As I understood, SM, yes, it means small and medium enterprises, yes?
Exactly.
But what is some different policy, investment policy between this small and medium, or it is the same policy?
I should say.
And what is, how we can estimate the size of what is the small and what is the medium?
Oh, okay, I see. First question. Thank you very much for your questions. Actually, there is no difference between policies for small and medium enterprises. Actually, it is the main problem. But it must be, because it should be, because actually the risks which are related to small business performance and medium business performance are different. So that is why the policies also must be different. So, and the question is, what is the small enterprises and medium enterprises? What is the criteria? Yes, as far as I understand. Actually, there are some criteria for small and medium enterprises. For example, for small enterprises, the criteria is that the number of employments are not more than 10 persons on enterprises, and for medium is more than 10, but not than 15. And then,
Less than 15?
yes. And there is also the requirement to the turnover, to the year turnover. So if we will talk about the turnover, more than 2.5 million of euros, it is medium enterprise. Less is less. The less is less.
It's very close, 10, 15, very micro?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean the 10 and 15 people is very close, the size.
I do believe that for medium the maximum is 150.
150 what? Sorry.
Employed personnel.
Why I ask it? Because if one person, it's also small enterprises, you know,
Yes.
and 100.
Yes, yes, this is the
Policy
issue.
may be a little bit different.
Okay. Yes, please. I'll bring you a microphone. That's it.
I'm so sorry I was late. Could you show your model, please? Regression.
This or this? What one?
Maybe this one. What is Y and what do you mean, for example, X4?
X4 is getting credit.
And X1?
And X1 is starting business.
Why coefficients is so big? Why coefficients?
So coefficients for the first X1 is positive, for the next is negative. And I thought that you can see also on the next model that there is also the positive on the X1 for medium-sized enterprises. And here, this factor which increases investment, starting business.
Please, next slide. Yes. Look at getting credit.
I see.
What can you say about this? What does it mean?
Getting credit, this factor, the conditions and terms which are required for getting credible is has a reduction power on investment potential in Ukraine, so for instance.
Okay, but look at this diapason.
This? No. Before.
Yes.
And what?
-8
Yes.
plus 8, and look at this degree.
And minus 8.44. Yes?
How can you explain this? I don't quite understand what does it mean.
So these coefficients get us, well, we interpret, but actually we as a scientist, we use this approach and we interpret this get
Okay,
trend.
I have no question.
Thank you. Just to elaborate a little bit on the previous question, we have not seen where did you take these values for your independent variables in the model. I guess that you got these values when you trained your model, right?
Yes.
So could you please show us your training sample?
No, just now?
Yes, just now. Can you show your training sample? You mentioned some data from different countries. Is this data a training sample?
Yes, actually yes.
Do I understand it correctly that you trained your models on the data collected in several European countries, and then you've got this coefficient based on their experience, on their data, and then you use this coefficient in your trained model to estimate what may happen in Ukraine?
Actually, yes, in general.
To
yes.
test,
Yes.
in fact, on your test step, right? Okay. Does anyone have more questions, please? Yeah, I'm bringing in micro.
Oh, thank you for your presentation. Tell us, please, did you choose adequacy of this regression using some statistical methods? Your dependence variable is investment potential. So what part of investment potential can be explained by your independent variables?
Oh, very difficult question for me. What part?
Maybe did you calculate determination coefficient or something else to believe in adequacy of this regression? What it can explain reality, real life model?
Actually, as far as I remember, yes, we did it and we calculated. But the main criteria for choosing these models were the root square error, you see. And we just compared the different models, and we choose the model which has the minimum of this error.
Which means statistical deviation, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's a bridge to your statistical question.
Okay, but I don't understand.
Sorry for interfering.
How many coefficient of determination in diapason from 0 to 1?
Can you hear that? Or should I
From
get
0
back?
to 10?
To 1.
To 1? As far as I remember, for small enterprises, it was 0.86, and for second one, it was 0.73, like this.
Thanks.
Happy? Finished your question? We still have some time for the very last question to this presentation. Does anyone have it? This is the last call for the last chance for the last question to this report. Yep. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'm quite happy to invite our second speaker, who is Alexander Weisberg. Here we have a clicker. Over there.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Alexander represents his joint work with perhaps some of his students, and one of the students is Ruslan Palutsky. Both researchers work for the Kherson State University, and the talk is focused on universal properties of the general agent-based market model through computational experiments. Wow. We now have your floor, please. Minutes for presentation, 10 minutes for discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, motivation. Economics has entered a stage of great transformation of its basis. Recent years, research reject the classical idea that rationality is rational man is this man that exists in reality. The neoclassical rational man does not exist in reality because real economic agents act according to established rules without being fully informed and without obligatory maximizing the own utility. In real economy, process decision without non-expensive consolation, and it's well adapted to frequent repetitions to evolutions. It's more efficient, really. All it means that the real economy is dynamical system, and real processes of economy are iterative processes of this system. This is the conclusion in non-linear economic dynamics. New paradigm of economics is a mix of theory of nonlinear dynamical system and mathematical programming, including game theory and optional control theory. Now, dynamic paradigm is a wide stream of research. However, it's a stream of examples that not developed in general theory, and very often such examples have many problems about its reality. The traditional method of constructing of scientific theory is first to synthesize and investigate the simplest possible mathematical model, and then study complex real systems which are grounded on this basis. This traditional approach is taken as principle of our research. We have some previous works where the elementary market model corresponding to new paradigm of economic, and this simplest example was synthesized and investigated. So the paper goes. The paper goes now to synthesize the general new market model according to the new dynamic paradigm of economics, grounded on this simple example, and then to reveal the universal properties of general new markets and check up the hypothesis about universality of properties of the elementary market model. That's step 2. So step 1. Almost any macroeconomic market model is constructed as follows. N firms operate in the market. To simplify here, n equals to 2. And then next assumptions. These firms produce homogeneous products in some quantities in time period to t. They use adaptive expectations. They try to predict the quantity of competitor. This x sub y e of t is the expected quantity of rival g in next period t plus 1, and then the firm solve the following optimization problem, where p is profit function of firm e. If we use x sub e, that is current output instead of predicted output, then we call it negative expectations. It's a standard construction, and our model is based on this construction as a rule name and adaptive expectations exist in the market with some probability. So, our general view market model. Simply, we have defined only two things: the objective functions and expectations. After that, assumptions, we can derive our equations. So this is our expectations. This is our assumption. This market, general view market model, is a homogeneous market with n depend on t firms and time t. Each firm I produces output. Then the industry output is Q of t. Then we take product price by the elastic demand function. Here one notice V is depend on t. That's why such a choice of demand function is not artificial restriction. Really, it's mean only that elasticity in at Q of t, that is in time t, is equal to V of t. Next, in next time, it was another one. So we have the objective function of a self-form. It's the simplest and ordinary formula, you see. And this is the objective function of reciprocator. This is the weighted average of short-run profit and consumer surplus. Generally, reciprocity or general reciprocity is desire of firm to give some of his profit, short-run profit, to benefit of consumers. Such touches usually stimulated by desire of firm give stable long-run profit rather than maximizes its short-run profit. So we have this formula, and in other words, this objective function is about the average of short-run profit and long-run profit. We can recalculate consumer surplus in such formula. And at last, adaptive expectation. This formula on first line means simply that if two firms are identical at moment t, and they have the same planning at moment t, so it is natural to suggest that production quantity will be equal at next time, at next moment. This is the requirement of common sense, and every firm have to use it. Right. In general, firm I suggests that production quantity of its rival G is in this formula. In this formula, here is two coefficients, delta and he. If delta is equal to 0, then it is naive expectations, and if he is equal to 0, then we return to above case. And we introduce this value that we call the share of planning with adaptive expectations. 1 minus delta, the share of planning with naive expectations. Some words about our simplest model, our initial model. It is a market of homogeneous product where all reciprocated films are identical, all selfish films are identical. So it is the market of practically identical films. The only differences between them that some of them selfish focus exclusively on short-run profits, and reciprocators account also long-run factors. However, it's not special specific market. Any global market principally contains of such local markets, and they're connected with our hypothesis. If really that's so, then we can hope that dynamic of general market is stratified on dynamics on local markets, that is simplest market. And if it's so, then properties of simplest market transform into universal properties of general market, of general model. It was the project of this work. This hypothesis was the project of this work. So, the main part of this work is, excuse me please, I forgot about it. The main part of our work is computing experiment. We did it with special application named model that was made during our work, but of course it can do many another things. So let we consider results of our work. So it's our first figure. The horizontal axis is number of firms N from 20 to 50. The ordinate axis represents the output on firm on attractors. So at n equals 20, there is here is equilibrium. At 21, occur cycle of 2 points. At 25 occur of 4 points cycle, and so on up to 45, where occur the dynamic house. n is equal 45 is a state of dynamic house. I noticed that if we doubling the lag between iterations, then points on the cycle transform into equilibria. And so we can look at this process as a process of dividing equilibria into some directions. Here to clear up the picture of this process, dividing of this process of dividing, we additionally trace the profit on the same system. So here horizontal axis is the same as an former, and ordinate axis is the profit on the same system. And it occurs that real choice here is unique, and it depends on quantity of output. The smaller output, the bigger one's profit. So in real life, of course, alternative case is impossible. But maybe the more unexpected is that the chaotic state is on average greater than a stable state. You see, this is the level of stable state, and of course it's below the average. So I have to say that of course these results contradict the traditional neoclassical idea of, even the main traditional neoclassical idea about stabilization of market with increasing of number of firms, and consequently the perfect competition in this market. Of course, it's not. In fact, it's not new, of course, and we can realize that in dynamics, the situation is much more different than in static. But if this main idea was fake, really, then we can understand how can real markets stabilize really, and what real factors are the factors of stabilizing of market. This is the one crucial factor which ensures stability in general view market. This is the share of adaptive expectance that I define in some former slide. Here in horizontal axis, the parameter value 1 minus delta, that is to the left, increase the share of naive expectations, and to the right, increase the share of naive expectations, and to the left, increase the share of adaptive expectations. So, if adaptive expectations is full, delta is equal to 1, then the unit Nash equilibrium is stable for all possible values of parameters. And then we can, as increase net expectations, we can see cycling doubling, and this process following all Tchaikovsky's order. We can here find all Tchaikovsky's order. This is another factor of stability in the market. Here, horizontal axis represents the output of firm 1, and the ordinate, the output of firm G, 7, another. You see that this trajectory practically is in a segment of line, is in a segment of line. It was absolutely unexpectedly, fact that we get in computing experiments. As we see here, we can think that practically they all are in this line, and some rare and small deviations from it, it's maybe technical failure. Really, it's not so. You see this another example, and there is evidently that these deviations are really existing. What's the difference between these two examples? The difference is here is less level of agreement in the market. It's another factor, and this is the definition of this factor. So, for every two firms, I and G, Q of T is the industry output for now, Q I and Q G is prospective industry output expected by a firm, and so this maximum we define as epsilon sub IG. The value epsilon, the maximum of all epsilon IG, is the level we call the level of disagreement, and y minus epsilon is the level of agreement, or is a coherence that is more usual in economical literature. We use this notation because we very often consider level of disagreement. Rarely more usual is coherence. This another factor, coherence or agreement of firms in the market, is the main important factor of stability in the market. You see in this figure, the horizontal axis is level of disagreement. That is, disagreement increase to the right, and agreement increase to the left. So, if 1 minute, and n is the least number of firms at which the house arises. So, if we increase the number of n, at some n occur house. Huh?
Where is n on your diagram?
On the coordinate axis.
prefer that it's written there. Okay.
On the ordinate axis.
Thank you.
Okay. So, ordinate vertical axis. I'm on the slide. On vertical axis, the least number of forms n, at which the chaos arises. So, n arises, and at some sufficiently big n arises chaos. So, if agreement is sufficiently large, here, there is no chaos at all. If disagreement increase, here occur chaos for sufficiently large n, and at last, if disagreement is absolutely, that is, did no coherence at this market at all, then this market moved to a chaos. So the greater level of agreement, the market is more stable. I have to say that all these facts quantitatively are not really new. The researchers find them in this stream of research. But here we try to build general theory, and so we define. And so we define this. Values. So conclusions. Thus, the crucial factors. I mean these conclusions about our model, about our general view model. Thus, the crucial factors which ensure the market stability are, first, the level of agreement, that is coherence in adaptive expectation, L, and the share of planning with adaptive expectations. In general view markets, in short-run period, and we consider only short-run period, all this work. If no any firm use naive expectations, that is delta is equal to 1, there is unique Nash equilibrium which is stable for all acceptable values of parameters. The increase of naive expectations leads to stability loss, to fluid bifurcation, and finally to chaos. At enough rate, naive expectations increase of number of firms also leads to stability loss, to bifurcation, and finally to chaos in general view market. We saw it in the last slide, in the last figure, and we revealed that the profits ratio and quantity output rates of firms remains almost unchanged in short-run period, provided that the coherence is great enough. That is, in short-run period, they remains as adiabatic invariant, even if there is a chaotic state in this market. This is the stability factors of market for which chaotic dynamics is usual, even for this. So, thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Yes, please. I'm coming with the microphone.
I have two questions. The first one, what is new in your research? And the second, what software did you use in bifurcation diagram construction? Thank you.
the new is our attempt to build. It's a common answer. Our attention to build general theory, but more precisely, we give for these values or for these notions strict definition. This is numbers, and our figures that we achieved there is strict.
And the software? The second part of the question was about the software. Which software has been used?
We use the application model.
Is that the software you developed yourself with your students?
I can say that this application that we developed during all this work and modify all the time. I don't say much about it. If you agree, I can more detail.
We don't have time slot for that.
Yes.
You may do it offline if somebody is interested.
Only because of that. I think its topic is too important for me about this sort.
Okay, thank you. More questions, please? I am coming.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. I might get something wrong. I just want some clarification, about what I'm modeling. Okay. So if I'm getting it right, you're considering the model of the market with two types of firms. One which aims.
No, it's
no.
Excuse me, please. It's the simplest. It's the simplest. You see, maybe I give. You see, this is our general new market. Here we don't differ selfish and reciprocate firms at all.
So there is only one type.
Yes, because the formula is general. This is the general formula. It all depends only what alpha the share.
So all actors are alike,
yes,
but we are considering different alphas, yes?
Yes, and if we go to elementary market model, our initial model,
the elementary model,
then it is really so. That is, there are two
types.
All types, all firms in first type are identical.
Yeah.
All types in second type are identical. And the only difference is this type.
Yeah, but we don't consider this model. It's only a great general framework. Yeah, we consider it when all of them are alike.
We go to yes.
Yeah. Okay. And can you please show this graphs with this whole inside?
Figures.
Yeah. Can you please explain me once again? So the x-axis is the number of firms. Yeah.
So once more. The horizontal axis is a number of firms.
Yeah, and those dots are...
And the ordinate is the output of firms after some iterations.
Stabilization.
That is, yes, stabilizing. That is an iterate.
And the number of firms, and this particular graph is for some particular alpha, yes?
Yes, of course, it's absolutely given system with its parameters.
Yeah.
If in the paper all these parameters, there are many parameters. They are all have the numbers.
Yeah, okay. So when the number of firms grows and alpha is somewhere in between, so they have stabilized in completely different.
Maybe it will be for me important to say that this software gives possibility to make a lot of experiments. So this is the result of a lot of experiments.
Can you have one last question?
Yes, the very last one.
Yes. And so, if I understand correctly, then there is some theoretical framework that kind of predicts this instability, yeah?
Of course.
Yes, okay.
Of course.
Thank you very much.
For this model, no any problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions, please? Okay, I have some. What concerned me most of all in your presentation was that you mentioned that the results you present contradict to the results of the neoclassical economic community.
You see, even this.
Yeah, I know in what, because I know the community. So my question is about the validity of what you present. Perhaps your model is wrong, and this is why it does contradict to the results by neoclassical economists.
You see, it's not.
That's not all. And my second hypothesis is perhaps your software does work wrongly, and this is why it contradicts to the results of the neoclassical economist community. How would you offer to evaluate the correctness of the theory and the software built on your theory?
As for correctness of software, it's quite easy problem, because I can compare it, for instance, with such evaluations with method or some other.
That wouldn't be the right way. Sorry, that wouldn't be a right way to cross-evaluate, because in Maple you will introduce the same model. So in that way you may find out if the software is good or bad. Did you consider any cross-evaluation with other simulation models proposed by the other authors? Do you have this cross-evaluation results in your paper?
Okay, yes. I have to say that the first your question is very serious. Of course. That is, for now, we have some model. And the question, is it really general theory or something like that? Of course, it's very difficult question. It's only initial step.
Okay.
Really, on this, on this direction.
Okay. So
as for 1 minute, as for another papers, as for another works, of course there are a lot of works. It's a wide stream of such works, and they and coherence. This work and our work is very, very good.
Okay, perhaps my very last question is about the sample you use. You constrain yourself by the number of companies, 50. Is it enough to expect a sort of equilibrium beyond the chaos though?
It was such system, it was such example.
I believe you have to extend it after several hundred at least, and perhaps you'll be lucky to get one more Nash equilibrium over there.
You see, we have Sharkovsky order. That is, Sharkovsky order is absolutely strict approving of this fact. We can, yes, we can here find the order of order 3. And this is very known fact that after three, we obtain how?
Excellent. I can reply by citing one of the top managers in telecommunications who say, we do not believe in theories, we do believe in facts and figures. So you have to experiment with that. Any more questions, please? No? Thank you very much. So as far as we do not have the third speaker, unfortunately it's a no-show. Lovely. Why not at the beginning of the session? You may take a coffee, return back, and the lady will prepare her presentation. Yeah. Go ahead. You have 2 minutes. You're Galina or Yulia? Your name is Galina or Yulia? Yulia. I'm happy to present Yulia Karmolenko from Tarashevchenko International University of Kyiv. And Yulia will give us a presentation on the recognition of price discrimination in the online sale of airline tickets, which is critically important for us all as frequently traveling people. So thank you for coming. Enjoy the presentation.
Thank you. I'm really glad to see you all here, the organizers, the participants. So today I'll be telling you about the piece of work we've done recently with my scientific curator presidential notes. And as you can see, the topic is recognition of price discrimination in the online sale of airline tickets. Here you can see the plan of my presentation. So basically, why am I interested in this topic? The reason is that I, as a PhD student, work on the problem of dynamic pricing, and this topic is real design and really important for me. So I wanted to show you something that could be used from one side in everyday life. Another point of view is scientific research. So why do we matter about price discrimination? As latest results show, and as you might think personally, it pisses off people really when they know that they've been discriminated by any reason. And the researchers show that people would rather be discriminated among with other people. For example, if they were established an equal price for all people, no matter how high it would be, rather than being discriminated themselves. So in my work, I was looking at the Ukrainian airline companies, which held regular races, not charter races, but regular ones that all people can see on the internet and they can buy tickets and all that stuff. So previous researchers have shown that people, in fact, recognize those specific types of discrimination. Implicit discrimination. It's a type of discrimination like using personal information to recognize what is the job, what is the occupation of a person, what is his age or her age, and so on. All this information is used regularly in price discrimination. Other types of discrimination recognized were, for example, weekend service discrimination. The logic is really clear. People who do work on regular days, they serve internet on weekends because they are just busy and don't have time on Monday to Friday days, you know. That's why if they work, if they are busy, that they have more money, so supposing that they will be looking for tickets on weekends, prices go up on weekends. Saturday night stayover is another type of discriminated business people. You know that if you're going on a business trip, it's more likely that you'll stay on the days from Monday to Friday than on Saturday and Sunday. So if you go, if you have a flight on, if you have a trip on weekends, it seems that you are not, that you don't go for business but for personal reasons. That's why business people discriminated rarely. And yeah, there are a lot of researchers that show that browsing history is a reason to discriminate right away. If we look at the market of software used for pricing, dynamic pricing, there are a lot of participants in this market, and they develop starting from a very small business and continue with really big companies. So, according to a ranking of merged ranking of ICTERI and G2 Crowd, the most fluent players on the market are Zillion IQ, Verinia CPQ, A priori, and so on. So let me tell you a little bit about the Ukrainian airline industry. These graphs show you the number of domestic flights by Ukrainian airline companies during the last years, and you see that violet spot in the first bar. That was RSV company. You might remember that the company went bankrupt in 2012. And the major player left on the market is the Ukrainian International Airlines. To say the truth, it's not correct to say that UAE is a monopolist because in terms of airline industry, monopoly can be set only to a race. For example, if it's Kyiv, Baku, then if the company holds all the races from Kyiv to Baku and vice versa, then it's monopolist. So basically, if Ukrainian International Airlines was supporting all the races, it would be monopolist. However, you can see the amount of flights. So let us consider that UAE is the monopolist, and this company has some can have more chances to discriminate people than the smaller ones. So what I was doing in my work, I made a list of top 10 hypotheses about the types of discrimination, and I checked these hypotheses in a statistical way. If you look at this hypothesis, let's just pick, I don't know, first 3 hypotheses. First one, round trips that overlap weekend days are cheaper. It's the Saturday night stayover type of discrimination we're talking about. Round trip is more expensive after a hotel has been booked. It meaning that supposing that you booked a hotel and the browsing history is stayed in the browser, and the company website sees that you've got this booking in your browser history, then supposing then we expect the price to be higher. Yeah. Third type is users from developed countries will be offered higher prices than those from the developing ones. The idea is really clear. If you trying to book, trying to buy a flight from, I don't know, Nigeria, then maybe the price of the ticket would be lower than if you try to buy that from the very same ticket from US. So yeah, we've got top 10 hypotheses. Other one, the other hypothesis also tell about the browsing history that might be used for discrimination. And so on. What was the methodology to test these hypotheses? Basically, the problem before nowadays was that if you wanted to create fictive user profiles for testing this hypothesis, you had to have, for example, one person sitting in the US and trying to buy a ticket, another person with another geographical and with another features sitting in another place, and so on. Now, what we have now, we have VPN servers and VPN software, and it helps to sit in one place, use your browsers and your several devices to create these fictive profiles, and try to buy tickets from using these fictive profiles. What I did, I used just two devices, iPhone 6s and MacBook Pro 2015, to create 6 different user profiles using different browsers, different locations of service to connect to the websites. Yeah, and different platforms, as you can see. The Windows platform was on the virtual machine set on the MacBook. So basically, after creating these 6 profiles, what I did, I had one. I was making one experiment that would be our control experiment. Then I had another testing experiment, trying to look at the very same race of the same company, and just look at the difference of the prices. The idea is really clear. What did I see? For each companies, I did 4 companies, only 4 companies do regular races in Ukraine, Ukrainian airline companies, and I was running 10 experiments for each hypothesis for each company, and this experiment showed me whether the price differed in the control and test experiment or not. Here you can see on the bars, if we have 10 on the bar, then all 10 experiments were failed, meaning we found no sign of price discrimination. Yeah, and let's talk about the interesting cases, what we found. For such companies, for all the companies except for Yamir, we found that Saturday night stay over clients offered cheaper prices than those clients who go for business. Also, I found one case when trying to buy a ticket on Ukraine International Airlines website gave me a higher price after I booked a hotel. That was once, and it could be a chance. It's not improvement of price discrimination. Yeah, and of course the duration of the stay is also a major factor to influence the price. The longer the trip you're going for, the cheaper is the price, because shorter trips are thought to be business trips. Yeah, so So basically here are the results. Previous browsing history of a user has no evidence of influencing ticket prices. Let's say once again, it's for Ukrainian companies that cure regular races. The fact that a user has already booked a hotel doesn't affect the trip price. We're saying, I would be happy to find an evidence of price discrimination, however it happened. Then, geographic location of a user does not influence ticket prices. I tried to go to the websites from US servers, from European servers, from Chinese servers, and so on. No difference in price. The fact that a user has checked competitors' price on the same route has no impact on ticket price. The same with the mediator website. Meaning, if you are trying to find a ticket for a lower price and you're looking on one website and another website, it doesn't mean that after these manipulations the price will go up or down. Previous unfinished attempt to book tickets does not entail price increase, meaning that if you're going for a website, trying to book a ticket, and then you stop this process and come after some time, it does not affect the price. However, I thought it would be a case. The type of device a customer uses to check ticket prices does not affect prices themselves. If you are surfing the internet from Meizu, iPhone, MacBook, ordinary laptop, the price will be the same. After making these conclusions, it might be a strange slide. However, I'm sure, and I'm trying to convince you to look after the internet footprint you are leaving after you, and to clear your browsing history on your computers, because we were looking at the cases of going to a direct company website to buy a ticket. It's not anybody who works in business and works with mediator websites will tell you that if you use a mediator website, for example, Tickets.ua, any other website, there might be cases of price discrimination because airline companies cannot affect the mediator website, and they cannot affect what is happening with the websites. From the point of customers, it's good news. No signs of price discrimination were found. However, it doesn't mean that companies didn't want to use these types of making a profit and being more effective. So in fact, Ukrainian airline companies should think about using a broader range of programs, of software to work on dynamic pricing, because as you have seen, one of the biggest companies already went bankrupt, and if at least smaller companies do not think about using the new technologies to establish prices, that would be their case as well. Yes, so thank you for the attention. I hope you have some questions, and once again.
We have already depleted our time slot. I think we have time for one, at most two quick questions, please. Just sorry. Yep.
Just short questions. What kind of recommendations you can give to passenger and or to company, air company, according to your obtained results?
You mean both the passenger and the company?
What kind of recommendation? You did this research, and what kind of recommendation you can give to users?
Well, I'm a user as well, so it's a good chance for me to share my opinion on this topic. So basically, what I would recommend to people is to care a lot about the wrongdoing history and their manipulations in the internet and what they are doing. And at least if you can't handle with the problem and stay clear with what you are doing, please clear the history. Please try to think in advance which actions, how your actions can affect the future prices and everything. You know, the advertising you see in the browser and all that kind of stuff.
It looks like general recommendation: be careful.
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
Of course, be careful. And if you have a chance, as I already said, that using...
So my advice from the problem...
Please stop discussing, we still have one more question. And we have finished our section, and the time slot is 17. Please go ahead.
Thanks.
Please take it offline.
Thank you for your presentation. I have one question. So, if a company knows that their client knows about possible way of price discrimination, so in this case, customer, for example, can use VPN to choose country where he can buy ticket in lower prices. So how can company protect from such price discrimination? Maybe single price is better in this case.
There's no way to protect from VPN. In fact, VPN is a good tool to make your browsing safe and to secure the incoming and outgoing traffic of your device. So basically, just if the companies want to discriminate users by geographic reasons, they should know that at least 5 or 10% of their customers know that they can do something they can find another path to buy a ticket.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm happy to close the session and release you for the lunch break. Enjoy.